much like Malaysia or so like if you're Chinese, you look at Chinese, and you are Malay, then Malay. It's very, very much.
Can we get started with the next session? For the next session, I'd like to invite members of the board to come up stage. Board members, please join me here. And I'd want to propose, with your permission, a modification to the agenda. We have three things we're supposed to do: the unaudited financial reports, the fee structure review, and then we'd have an open mic. So I would want to, with your permission, pinch 5 minutes from each of those sessions so that each session would reduce to 25 minutes, and then we'd have Noc Report for 10 minutes. So Noc Report is what we'll start with, because at all these meetings, we actually run as an internet service provider. So we want to look at the statistics and all the things at the end of the meeting to see how we fared as a community. So we'll take that Noc Report now, which would run for 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes for the presentation, 5 minutes for questions and discussions, and then we'll move on to the substantive agenda, which I will have shrunk by 5 minutes each. So I'll invite Cedric to take us through the Noc Report. A round of applause for Cedric, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will take you through the Noc Report. It has been two long and extensive week for the Noc team, and this is our report. So this is Lagos. For those who are like me, who have not been able to visit Lagos, nice city, and this is the Noc. For this meeting, the Noc team was composed of 4 people, 2 people from NIRA, sorry. So Abubakar, is it Abubakar, there at the back, from NIRA. Noble Moses, from NIRA. David Njuki, from Afrinic. And myself, Cedric. So we had 2 connectivity sponsors, Main One and eStream. So Main One as the main link and eStream as the backup link. So the equipment that we have been using so far during the week: 2 routers, one 2911 and a 2951 from Main One and NIRA. So thanks to those 2, to Main One and to NIRA for lending us those equipment. And we also have been able to use some new equipment thanks to our CEO Alan, who allowed us to buy some new Ubiquiti that have been used for the first time in Nigeria. And also a lot of sweat and late night, but as you can see, we are still up and running. This is the coverage of the conference area. You can see all the access points that have been placed. And just to give you an idea of how good the coverage was, you have this. So the red area are the where you can get the most connectivity, and the yellow and green is where those are the gray areas. And the good thing with the new equipment that we have been able to acquire is each time we were able to find a gray area, we were able to add additional equipment to cover that. The overall throughput during the week, so you can see that we have peak yesterday, and we've been able to reach 120 MB. And so this is from Monday to Friday. So only this morning. And also to give you another idea of how good it was, you can see here the straight line is the bandwidth, and the dotted line is the client on the network. So as you can see, we have our peak here on Thursday and also Wednesday, and there was more than enough bandwidth for all the clients in the network. Our last statistics, we have been able, there was 330 binding for the DHCP, IPv4 and IPv6, and up to this morning, we had a total bandwidth usage of 502 gigabit, and that's from Monday to Friday morning. So we want to thank you for your attention, and see you next year in Dakar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cedric. Questions? You could please take the microphone if there's any question. I see Douglas. While Douglas is going to the microphone, Cedric, it would also be nice to see on the plot of bandwidth and client a third parameter, which is the kilobit per client, average kilobit per client, as a third overlay to that graph. Yes, Douglas.
Thank you very much. Douglas Onyango from Uganda. Cedric, I wanted to ask you, you just said the number of DHCP binds was about 330, but then again you showed us one occasion where we peaked and the number of clients here was much closer to 400. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that correct, and if I understood it correct, you might also help me understand how those other people were getting connected. Is it possible by the Holy Spirit or something?
Thank you for your question. Chair, it's well noted. We will try to improve for the next meeting to be able to give more statistics. And to answer Douglas' question, the 330, that's the information we got from our DHCP server. It's sometimes a bit difficult to know, to have exact figures, because when you look at the number of participants against the number of binding, then we think that there is something. But also another thing is we noticed that a lot of people have been using their own internet connection, especially the one from Nigeria. All those on mobile data, they were using their own device and their own internet connection and not the one from the conference. That also explains why we have that difference. But it's true that when you look at that, at those statistics, sorry, you can see that there is more client than what we have received.
Is that a remote question? Please go ahead.
So this is from Mark Hankins. What was the highest IPv4 only count and the highest IPv6 count?
For IPv4, we did not do a difference between the two. So the DHCP was giving both. And as we said, it's a new equipment, so we are still testing them. But we hope that by AIS 18, we will be able to give more statistics and see the difference. But we take note of that question, and we will be able to provide, we hope to be able to provide more information during the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, if there would be other questions on Noc Report, I would want to move them to open mic so that we don't spend outside the time band I have promised to pinch. So I would like you to once again give Cedric and the Noc team another round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
We get better year on year. So we'll move on to the next item, which is the unaudited financial report, and it's my pleasure to invite the CEO, Alan Barrett, to lead us through that item.
Okay, good morning. I'm standing in here for Hightam, who is chair of the Board Finance Committee. He had to leave. His flight is very soon. So this is the financial status of Afrinic as of the end of September. We're going to look at the revenue for the year and the operational and capital expenditure and our treasury, the cash in the bank. So revenue for the year, as of the end of September 2017, our revenue for this year was about $4.8 million. And at the same time last year, we were sitting at about $4.3 million. Sponsorship that we've received for this year is $104,000. That covers only the Nairobi meeting in May, because the sponsorship received for this meeting here in Lagos came after the end of September, so it's not included in the September figures. Operational expenditure, our budget for the year is about $4.88 million, and as of the end of September we had spent about $2.7 million. Of course, that's only 3/4 of the year, not the full year, whereas the budget is for the full year. We have large expenses in November, December because of this meeting. So I think we will see by the end of the year, the actual expenditure will still be less than the budget, but not by such a big gap as you see on this slide. Capital expenditure, we budgeted $126,000, and we spent less than half of that at $46,000 as of the end of September. There might still be a small amount of capital expenditure before the end of the year, but we're still very much less than the budget. Our treasury, cash in the bank, as of the end of September, considering all our bank accounts added up together, a total of $4.8 million, and the same time last year, about $3.27 million. Okay, so every year we're improving. We're trying to build up a reserve to cover 4 years of operations, and it will take some time, but we're getting there. Okay, thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Alan. So the floor is open for questions. If we finish before the time, we'll move on to the next presentation. If not, I'll move the overflow to open mic. So questions from members. I see Douglas, and after Douglas, if there are no more questions, you just give an applause to the board.
Hi, this is Douglas Onyango again from Uganda. I wanted to ask Alan, I've seen a very good report in terms of, in the way of, first of all, the growth in terms of revenue on the one hand, and then second and most importantly, the budget versus the actuals, which can be interpreted as a good thing, but I wanted to make sure I understand what it means. Because when we do a budget and we say an item is going to cost us this much, and then eventually it costs us half of that. So what it can mean to one of two things. One, we did not fulfill certain activities we were supposed to, or we found out that was maybe it was going to cost us half of what we actually budgeted. Which one of these is the case, and probably what does that mean? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Douglas. That's a good question. It's a bit of both. A big part of our budget is in HR expenses, and we have some unfilled positions which were budgeted for, so the fact that the position is vacant is a saving. It's a saving in money, but it's not exactly a good thing. It would be nice to have people in those positions to be able to do that work. Most of our commitments in terms of outreach and training we have met. We've saved a little bit of money on meetings. Something you should understand about the meeting budget is we budget as if we will get no sponsorship at all. But if we get sponsorship, then that effectively reduces the expenses. So the meeting costs come up way below budget, even though when viewed from a certain angle, the costs are more or less as planned. But viewed from another angle, they show on the books in a different way because of the sponsorship. Okay, thank you.
So any more questions? By the way, Douglas, thank you for that very nice question. Any more questions? Remote participants? I'm surprised Mark Elkins has no question on this. Okay. If there are no more questions, I do miss Andrew Alston. All right, so can we then move to the next item on the agenda? A round of applause for the CEO for that.
I'd like to add something, if I may, about the publication of the results.
Just a little clarification from the CEO, please.
Thank you. I asked the chair for leave to add one more thing, and that is the board has made a commitment to the community to start publishing half-year reports, and we've done that. The report might be a bit difficult to find. The Afrinic website is not always easy to navigate. But if you go to the website and find corporate documents, underneath corporate documents, look for financial reports. Under financial reports, go to 2017, and there you will see the 2017 budget and the half-year report as of the end of June. We will soon be publishing a quarterly report as of the end of September with a little bit more detail than you've seen in the slides I presented here. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan. So we'll now move to the fee structure review, and I'll call on SM to lead us through the presentation of his committee. And of course, I'd like members of your committee present here introduced to the community. So fee.
Good morning, I'm SM. I'm the chair of the Fee Reviews Committee. First of all, I would like to thank our members who are on the Fees Review Committee for volunteering for the work. I think that one of our members is in the room, so could he stand up so that we can thank him for his volunteer efforts to make this work go forward? Yeah?
Omalolu, are you there? Oh, I think he danced too much yesterday night at the gala. Okay, he must be resting in his room.
Anyway, it should be online. Wow. Should I just click?
Wait for the instructions.
You do?
The use of the pointer?
Yeah. Okay. Down one. Okay. At the moment, our committee has what's called a draft proposal about the fees review, which means that the committee is still discussing about the proposal. So I want to give you like a quick overview of what we are being looking into. For example, if you look at the chart on the screen, you see that we have a /22, a /20, and a /18. And you would notice that the prices jumps when you go from a /20 to a /18. It's significant. So it's an anomaly, and this is one of the things which the committee is working on and we would like to address by making it more smoother. For example, if you look at the orange line on the chart, it gives you an idea of what we are trying to do. Instead of having fees jump from small to medium, for example, for a /18 it's around $64,400. For a /20 it's around $24,000. It's significant. The difference is significant, and we would like to correct this difference by making it a smooth line. So this is what our committee has been discussing. We will have what we call an annual fee, and the annual fee will be the maximum of either the IPv4 fee, the IPv6 fee, or the ASN fee. Whichever of these three figures is the highest will be the annual fee. And if you look at the chart, you'll see that we have the current fee, which is like a jagged line. And this jagged line, it points to some anomalies in our fee structure. And we are trying to correct this by smoothing up our fee structure, which means that our fee structure will not, I would say, would not make it difficult for members who are asking for an additional /20 because the price increase is smooth instead of being jagged. By the way, I'd like to point out that the approach which the committee is taking is to be revenue neutral, which means that the goal, the objective is not to increase the fees, it's to correct the anomalies and to have fees which will in a way ensure the stability of Afrinic. We'll still have the discounts. At the moment, I think we still have a 50% discount for academic and research institutions. So we will be keeping the discounts. And I would like to remind you that Afrinic gives you a 5% discount if you pay your fees early. So I would like to encourage you to make good use of it. I think that's all. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions at the mic.
Thank you, SM. So members, that's a brief report from the Fee Review Committee. Do we have comments, questions, clarifications from the community? It's important to note that it's the structure that is being reviewed, not the actual fees. And it is possible that some members will pay less and some members will pay more. But this is not an attempt to get more revenue for Afrinic. It's an attempt to make sure that people pay for what they use and only what they use. So now we go on the microphone. Please introduce yourself and then your question or comment.
Bonjour, je suis le Dr Ousmane Ly du Mali. Ma question c'est par rapport aux 50% de restriction pour les institutions de recherche. Alors je voudrais savoir comment est-ce que vous déterminez les institutions de recherche. Merci.
Okay. The question, I'm going to translate it in English because I understand a bit of French. Is asking how do we determine what's a research organization? Yeah, academic. Okay, I think our CEO will provide some details because it's an operational answer.
Right. It's not always easy. The fee structure does give a 50% discount for academic and research institutions. Actually, today's fee structure, I think, is only for non-profit academic and research institutions. So there can be some gray areas where it's not too clear whether or not some organization is non-profit. But usually it's clear enough whether or not some organization is a research institution. And they would, under the current fee structure, if they qualify, then under the new fee structure it would still be the same. If you get your 50% discount today, then I think the idea is you will continue to get a 50% discount in the future after the fees are revised.
Thank you. Next question.
Oui, Quarantine, boursier Afrinic. Je voulais juste savoir, bon, c'est peut-être une petite clarification. Quand je regarde sur le site internet d'Afrinic, les conditions d'adhésion de membres sont publiées et tout un autre tas d'informations, mais je ne sais pas si c'est délibéré ou par rapport à une des politiques, les tarifs des services ne sont pas publiés. Y a-t-il une raison objective pour laquelle vous ne publiez pas le tarif des services fournis, donc des ressources, appelons-le comme ça? Deuxièmement, par rapport au tableau que vous avez fait, je dis des entrées ou des revenus, ces revenus sont basés sur les ressources souscrites ou sur les ressources réellement utilisées. Il serait aussi, peut-être pas indispensable, mais de le savoir, que voilà, sur base des ressources réellement utilisées, nous avons autant, et les ressources que je vais appeler les IP dormantes, autant. Voilà.
I am not sure I got this question properly. I see the interpreter struggling to help me, but if you could please clarify. Is it that you want to see the revenues of Afrinic by the various fee categories? Is that what you want to see?
Non, non. Bon, je ne saurais pas interpréter ceux qui doivent le faire. Je dis que pour la première question, j'ai demandé, je crois que là vous avez compris, c'est la publication je sais pas, des coûts de ressources. Le prix pour celui qui voudrait adhérer et qui voudrait souscrire à des ressources. Pourrait-il déjà, dès la consultation du site d'Afrinic, connaître le coût? Ça, c'était la première question. La deuxième question, c'était juste par rapport au graphique où on a montré la courbe de revenus. Tenait-il compte d'une catégorisation, c'est-à-dire l'ensemble des ressources souscrites par les membres, ou pourrait-il nous donner une certaine différence pour savoir, parce que vous avez aussi l'obligation de résultat, de savoir que sur l'ensemble des ressources que nous avons souscrites, les ressources réellement utilisées nous rapportent autant. C'était ça ma question.
Bon, je vais essayer de répondre à votre question en français. La première question, c'est à propos de la grille tarifaire. C'est publié sur le site, en anglais, je sais, c'est sous Fee Structure, parce que j'ai vérifié hier soir quand j'ai travaillé là-dessus. Je vais sur le site Afrinic de temps à autre. Vous avez pour extra small, very small, small medium, par exemple, pour extra small, un /22 de IPv4 pour un LIA, ça coûte dans les $1,400. D'accord? Ça, c'est pour la première question. Et pour la deuxième question, je pense, votre question, ce que vous demandez, c'est que, est-ce que la facture, c'est pour les ressources qui ont été allouées, par allouées, je veux dire, allocated ou assigned, ou resources which are being used? C'est ça votre question. La réponse, c'est que Afrinic vous facture par allocation et assignment. Est-ce que vous avez d'autres questions?
Sorry, before we take a reaction, SM, it would be great if you repeat both the question and your answer in English, because the interpreters struggled more with you than the original question.
Okay, I'm going to translate my answer in English so that our chair can understand it. Okay, the question was, does Afrinic publish its fee structure? And my answer was yes, the fee structure is published on the website of Afrinic, and I mentioned that I want to read about it last night when I was working my presentation. The second question was about how do we charge for resources? Is it resources which are used, or is it resources which are assigned or allocated? Okay, so allocation, assignment, okay, or needs. Okay, I clarified that the charge is based on what is assigned or allocated. And as our friend Dr. Bope pointed out to me, we also have what we call an annual membership fee.
Okay, let me just make a clarification based on my understanding now after SM has explained.
Okay.
As an organization, we don't charge for resources. We charge membership fees. But your membership fees are also based on the type of resources that you have. So don't get very confused. We do not charge for the resources. We don't sell IP addresses. We charge you to be a member of Afrinic, but then what you pay as your membership fees is dependent on the amount of resources that you hold. Okay. So you can start at the base membership and increase as you hold more resources. Okay. I think that is clear now.
Ok, please. Je voulais juste dire que ces détails-là, si ça pourrait aussi être repris sur la grille tarifaire ou sur les informations qui sont sur le site, donc la méthode de tarification que vous venez de donner, ce serait une bonne chose, juste ça.
Je vous remercie pour la suggestion, on va essayer de faire ça.
Okay, but also note that until you really state what resources you want and what you can get, Afrinic does not issue you an invoice. So you really cannot work towards holding a certain number of resources. You would work towards holding the resources that you are entitled to hold by the cumulative policies in play. So that you want a /10 does not mean you will get a /10. You have to justify what you are asking for, and you only get what you can justify. So the issue of working to your anticipated fee may not really work in this instance. Thank you. Mr. Lu?
Lu Hen from Cloud Innovation for the record. Just one comment, one question actually. The comment would be, I would suggest the board not lowering the lowest category fee too much, because there's been seen in the other regions that if the lowest category fee was too low and coupled with last/8 or the soft landing policy, that people will come and abuse the last/8 policy, open countless number of memberships, and basically just to get to the last/20 or whatever that is. So I would suggest the lowest member category fee should maintain to a certain level that normal business would afford, but if you abuse it, it'd be expensive. So that's the comment. The question would be, will that be a resolution vote to the general membership after you actually get to the fee structure change to seek approval from the membership? I would strongly recommend this because it's quite a sensitive topic here. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. Let me quickly address the two questions you raised. One comment and the question. I'll start with the question. So fee is within the purview of the board, but the board will not act as if it is entirely in its purview. There will be full consultation with members. And if you also look at this review committee, it's made up of members from the community. You can see that the finance director is there, the CEO is there, the Council of Elders is represented. Those are the past chairs of Afrinic. And also we have a member each from the extra large, the medium category, and the academia. We don't have anybody from the small and extra small. So this is just to make sure the committee cuts across the community. So yes, when the structure is reviewed, the board will consult with the community, and when that consultation is done, the board will ratify the new fee structure and management will implement. But certainly, the ratification and implementation will be done within the right cycle. So if we were going to start implementing it at a particular point in time, the ratification would be done way ahead of that implementation time. To the next issue you raised, which is more like a caution that we should not review, we should not drop too much the entry membership fee so that we won't have people from other regions who no longer have resources coming to Afrinic to incorporate companies just with the sole intention of taking IPs. We're trying our best, but please bear in mind that that's a community issue. It's not an organizational issue. The community makes the policies. We try to uphold the policies that are made by the community and implement them. So if the community thinks that is a good thing to do for the growth of the internet in Africa, so be it. Let them do it. But if the community feels that would hurt the interest of Africans because we're coming to the dinner table very late, then we need to look seriously at the caution that you have thrown. But your caution is noted. I'm sure the community heard you loud and clear. Thank you. So do we have any more questions for the fee review committee? Remote participants? Seeing none, may I ask that we give the committee a round of applause for the good job they did. So we've covered very good ground, and that leaves us with about 55 to 50 minutes for the open microphone. So we will now open the microphone. You're free to go to the microphone and discuss any issue. This session has been introduced by the board starting from this meeting so that we can have more engagement with the community. We want to answer your questions if there are any questions, but much more, we want to listen to your comments. We want to listen to your advice. We want to feel the pulse of the community. We want to know the various challenges you may be having in your respective countries or organizations which are not covered by the agenda of the meeting. We want to have very open and frank interactions. So your comments can go to other members, it can go to the community, it can go to Afrinic, the company, it can go to the board. Feel free to air your views. So this is very important for us to be able to grow the organization in the direction that we all want to and make the community useful for all of us. So I would like to introduce the first person at the microphone, Madame Memuna Diop, past chair of the Afrinic board. A round of applause for her.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to be there, and I would like to thank NIRA and all the organizers that give us this opportunity to be there and share with the community in Afrinic. I know that my chair, the chair of Afrinic is not my chair, it's the chair of Afrinic, is not very, has to improve his French, but I really would like to speak in French because of our diversity. And
pas de problème, madame.
Ah, bravo. Je voudrais d'abord, ma question, en fait, c'est une problématique que je pose. You have the... Mais, je voudrais poser une problématique par rapport à ce que vous venez de dire sur l'engagement de la communauté. Et je voudrais à ce propos-là interpeller Alain sur le site web. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, quand on regarde le rapport financier, Afrinic a fait beaucoup de bénéfices. En fait, on n'a pas dépensé beaucoup de budget. Est-ce que ce ne serait pas l'occasion, justement, de faire en sorte que le site web ait une version française qui faciliterait la participation et l'engagement de la communauté francophone qui est membre à part entière de cette organisation? C'est vraiment un appel parce que ça fait un moment qu'on pose cette question. On nous dit que ça va être fait. Est-ce que ce ne serait vraiment pas aujourd'hui l'occasion de le faire puisque les ressources financières sont disponibles? Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Maimuna. Those are very important points that you raise. It's definitely important for Afrinic to be able to communicate with its community in French as well as English. And I've already made commitments to do that. It's a slow process, but it is continuing. We have already translated the RSA into French and Arabic, and also the bylaws have been translated into French and Arabic. I even have a few copies of the English and the French version of the bylaws available on site. I don't have enough for everybody, but I have a few. Maimuna, I think you have received one yourself. As for translating the remainder of the website, I have set a list of priorities with my comms team. I've asked them to focus first on the most important documents that members will sign or read, such as the RSA is already done, and the fee structure will be done as a priority, and the policy manual will be done as a priority, but it's not done yet. And then we will eventually get to translating the entire website. It's definitely one of our goals. Unfortunately, it's taken longer than I had wanted.
I see Maimuna gain priority on the queue again, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Alan, je pense que aujourd'hui, le site web, c'est la première interface entre Afrinic et la communauté. Si on n'a que la version anglaise, on exclut de fait les francophones. Je prends aujourd'hui sur le Government Working Group. On demande au gouvernement francophone de venir. Ils vont sur le site web, il n'y a rien qui est en français. Ben, ils ferment, ils vont faire autre chose. Donc je pense qu'aujourd'hui, l'interface sur laquelle il faut mettre la priorité, c'est le site web. Et c'est facile avec Google et tout ça, on peut aller vite. Je vous remercie. Je ne veux pas insister là-dessus.
Okay, thank you very much, Maimuna. Your comments are well noted. Your comments are very fair. I am not trying to defend management, but I believe the board is responsible for this aspect. Responsible in the sense that we need to ensure that things are well communicated to the community. One thing I would want to appeal to the community for is that maybe there was a misunderstanding of what is important. The website is very, very important, but much, much more important are the legal documents. So I'll just appeal on behalf of management for a little more time to be able to get their acts together. But it will be done. I was very excited when I saw the Constitution in English and French being circulated at this meeting. I think that is progress, and we should celebrate with a show of applause for management. Yeah. So definitely the website would come up. It's a small team that is doing the work, and we should understand. There were challenges in the past, and I'm glad that we are overcoming those challenges. So let me just appeal to the community that we will get there. Thank you. Can we take the next person on the queue now?
Oui, c'est M. Kalam Tima, bénéficiaire de la bourse Afrinic. J'allais renchérir sur le même sujet avec deux autres arguments. D'abord, concernant pas vraiment le site web, moi mon problème, ce sont les documents que vous envoyez aux institutions qui veulent souscrire, qui veulent devenir membres. Lorsque vous avez surtout une institution publique francophone, vous lui envoyez des modèles de contrat en anglais ou des protocoles d'accord en anglais. Ça va alourdir la procédure et très souvent, ça ne va même pas aboutir. C'est la communauté qui perd dans tout ça. Parce que on aurait pu avoir tel ou tel acteur, mais ne pourra plus, parce que lorsqu'on lui envoie des documents, toutes les procédures sont en anglais, hormis tout ce qui est sur le site. Moi, je parle de la procédure d'adhésion elle-même. Je suggérerais vraiment que dans le même cadre, surtout pour les documents juridiques, que vous essayez de voir comment faire cette traduction-là pour ne pas éliminer les potentiels adhérents francophones. C'est la première chose. La deuxième chose, heureusement que vous en avez parlé il n'y a pas très longtemps ici, il y a le problème de la traduction qui se pose. Nous, les anglophones, nous étions en train de suivre cette conférence en différé. Vous étiez en live et nous, on suivait un peu en différé. Selon mon constat, il se pose un problème, c'est qu'il ne faut pas seulement avoir des traducteurs, mais il faut s'assurer que vous ayez des traducteurs qui sont pointus dans les matières qu'on va aborder. Parce que le problème est que si nous avons des traducteurs que je vais appeler standard, et qu'ici il y a plus des sujets techniques, ils ont des difficultés à nous rendre exactement ce qui est les termes qui sont prononcés par les orateurs. Et puis, la traduction en question n'est pas complète, parce que je donne un exemple. Il y a un monsieur qui a, je crois, exposé un sujet à distance en direct des États-Unis, je crois, un docteur là. Nous, les francophones, nous ne pouvions pas lui poser des questions, parce que lui, il exposait déjà en anglais là-bas. Même si, bon, on nous a traduit ce que lui, il nous a donné, mais nous ne pouvions pas lui poser à lui des questions. C'est aussi une problématique sur laquelle moi je vous invite à réfléchir, si on peut trouver des solutions pour que tous les participants participent réellement, qu'il n'y ait pas de spectateurs participants. Merci.
Okay, the comment is well noted. Haji?
Merci, Chair. C'est Ali Haji of Comoros. D'abord, je tenais à remercier le Chair d'avoir pris cet engagement, non seulement parce qu'il est le Chair d'Afrinic, mais aussi il est le local host. Donc ça, c'est un engagement fort et je pense qu'on va se souvenir justement de ce moment-là. Je voulais profiter aussi de l'occasion pour remercier le local. Ouais, pour remercier le local host pour tout ce qu'il a fait pour nous, qui venons d'ailleurs. Et d'ailleurs, on était un peu stupéfiés, on avait un peu peur de venir vu justement ce qui se raconte d'ici et là. Mais je me raconte que ça va, ils ont fait de leur mieux, ils ont quand même assuré notre protection jusqu'à aujourd'hui et nous avons pu quand même surmonter notre peur. Donc, dommage pour ceux qui ne se sont pas déplacés pour venir ici. Je pense qu'il faut faire une bonne image pour nos pays. Il ne faudrait pas justement qu'on se laisse terrifier par la peur. Deuxièmement, je voulais juste essayer une préoccupation suite aux sessions, par exemple aux sessions du PDP d'hier. Force était de constater qu'à la dernière minute, il y a eu des commentaires, il y a eu même des interventions qui, à mon avis, si ces commentaires étaient venus à temps, ça aurait permis justement de clarifier certaines choses et d'aider non seulement les co-chairs, mais aussi les auteurs de certaines policies. Ce qui me permet de dire que j'aurais souhaité justement qu'on cadre tout ça et que nous ayons justement une période bien définie au-delà de laquelle donc tous les commentaires, toutes les modifications ne peuvent pas être inscrites justement dans le débat. Et d'ailleurs, je pense que c'est l'occasion pour rebondir sur le policy qui est en cours, le PDB bis, qui permettra peut-être de résoudre certaines problématiques dans ce sens. Donc ça, c'était une préoccupation, je pense, et j'appelle justement à toute la communauté de s'aligner ou bien de veiller, mais de faire en sorte justement que ce policy soit adapté et puis répondre au mieux justement à nos préoccupations. Pour finir, je finirai par une petite question parce que d'habitude, au cours de nos meetings d'Afrinic, on organise des ateliers de formation, des ateliers techniques, mais cette fois-ci, ce n'était pas le cas. Donc, je voulais savoir pourquoi. Est-ce que ça va continuer comme ça ou bien il y avait une problématique particulière, etc. Donc, si je peux avoir des éclaircissements, merci.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments, Haj. The comments are well noted by the community, but I would ask the CEO to respond on the aspect of trainings at these meetings. So, CEO.
Thank you, Chair. We always have many training workshops at the AIS meeting, the big meeting usually in May. At our November meeting, it's much smaller, and in some past years, we've had a collaboration with Africa CERT where they offer training. Unfortunately, we were unable to get that to work this year. We'll probably go back to it next year, and you'll definitely see Africa CERT offering cybersecurity kind of training at the AIS meeting. Also, we very often offer IPv6 training in conjunction with these events. This time we did not do that because we've already offered training in Nigeria this year, so we thought it was not necessary to come back again to the same location. Thanks.
Okay, the other aspect regarding policy is not within the purview of the board. So I'll leave members of the community who have a comment on that to respond to Haji, or it is not within the purview of the board. So, Arnaud?
Merci, Chair. Je remercie toute l'équipe d'Afrinic pour tous les efforts qu'ils font. Alors, j'ai quelques préoccupations et quelques remarques à faire. Ma première question qui entraînera mes préoccupations, c'est de savoir est-ce que le bâtiment que Afrinic utilise actuellement à Maurice est loué ou bien mis à disposition? Est-ce que c'est gratuit? Parce que j'ai regardé au niveau du budget, je ne vois nulle part où c'est mentionné la valeur locative du bâtiment dans le budget. Alors, si déjà vous pouvez me répondre à ça, je pourrais continuer. Combien me coûte le bâtiment par mois ou par an?
It is rented.
Merci.
It is leased. It's a leased property.
Ok. Et ça me coûte combien par an ou par mois? Il faut acheter.
Okay, it's paid monthly.
Monthly.
The lease is paid monthly, and it would appear somewhere in the account as rentals.
I didn't see it in the account. J'ai pas vu ça dans le.
Okay, I could ask in the course of the meeting for exactly where it is, and I would let you know.
Mais vous pouvez avoir une idée du montant?
I don't have the figure offhand, but as I said, I would ask for it shortly. It's just an email to the finance director and back, and we'll be able to give you a figure. Before we finish this open microphone, I will let you know. Is that okay?
Mais bizarrement, en fait, c'est la valeur là qui conditionne mes autres préoccupations que j'allais avancer. Donc, je suis surpris que le bureau d'Afrinic ne sache pas combien il paye par mois à un bâtiment. Moi, je connais mon loyer mensuel quand je suis quelque part. Et surtout que je le paye par mois. Donc, c'est la moindre des choses que je puisse le savoir, ce que ça me coûte si mon budget est clair. C'est ça qui conditionne, en fait, le reste de mes questions et préoccupations.
Can I give you the figure and then we can proceed?
Yes.
Okay.
Merci.
So when I give you the figure, we'll come back to it. Is that okay?
D'accord. Donc je vais partir.
If I know how much rent Afrinic pays for its property, I probably would then be required to know the salary that is paid each employee.
C'est pas ce que je
That should not be the responsibility of the responsible chair.
Excuse-moi, chair.
Yes.
Le loyer n'est pas un salaire. Le loyer est connu, est censé être connu de tous.
Sorry, I am losing you. Nothing is coming out of the mic. Nothing is coming out.
Je peux vous attendre, il n'y a pas de problème.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything.
I can wait for you, please. Don't worry for that.
I have requested that you allow me get the figures and we continue, but you insist.
I say that the figure for renting is totally different from salary. C'est pas la même chose.
Okay.
Le
So I will ask the
si
team.
moi, excusez-moi, excusez-moi. Je suis sûr que
Okay, interpreters, can you say something? Let me make sure I can hear you now.
Can the CEO respond, please?
I can't hear anything, interpreters, please.
I
can hear you now. Okay. I think there is an attempt to make the chair not hear anything. Okay, now I can hear this.
Est-ce que je peux continuer?
I'm sorry, I take exception to that. As chair of the board, I don't superintend expenditures and details. We look at policies and overreaching issues. I will put the question to the CEO now. You ask for specifics. And in answering specifics in a meeting like this, one just does not go talking. And I was very clear when you asked. I said the answer will be provided to you before the end of this open mic. You then went ahead to say you want it now. We should know it. So it's okay. You are my community member. Let's not argue. What matters is the detail, not who knows it. If I have to call the finance director to answer a question, it is answered. I should not be saddled with being jack of all the trades. So permit me to ask the CEO to answer your question. Is that okay?
Merci.
Thank you. CEO, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to underline something the chair's just said. It's not reasonable to expect the chair of the board to know out of his head how much we pay for rent. It is reasonable to expect the finance director to know that. It's also reasonable to expect the CEO to be able to find out very quickly by asking the finance director. And we've done that. We pay approximately $13,000 per month in rent. And this appears in the financial report under office expenses. The office expenses in the financial report does not only cover rent, it also includes other costs related to the office. It all appears in a single item in the finance report. But may I understand the point of this question? What are you actually concerned about?
So what I just got shown is about $113,000 US till date, till the end of the third quarter.
No, it's June.
Sorry, up to June, $113,000 US up to June. That includes all office expenses, not just rent. So can we then have your concern?
Merci.
And it's already posted on the website.
D'accord. Au fait, si j'avais insisté, c'est par rapport au fait que ça n'apparaît pas dans les comptes qui sont publiés en ligne. C'est pour ça que j'ai juste demandé cela. Et logiquement, c'est censé apparaître dans le rapport financier, puisque c'est une dépense. Et je vois le coût par mois de ce que Afrinic paye, et cela je suppose depuis quelques années. Ma suggestion est ceci: avec autant de montants, ne pouvons-nous pas acheter carrément un bâtiment? On aurait déjà construit un grand bâtiment en allant demander un prêt à une banque. qu'on va payer par mois en lieu et place du loyer, et le bâtiment nous reviendra de droit une fois que le montant emprunté aura été remboursé. Je crois qu'il faut, parce qu'on cherche à faire des économies, mais je ne vois pas du tout un moyen de faire d'économies en payant un loyer aussi monstrueux. Et le propriétaire du bâtiment, à tout moment, peut dégager Afrinic de là où on est, alors qu'on a occupé cet espace depuis plus de 10 ans. Donc l'idéal aurait été, honnêtement, de trouver un moyen d'acquérir un bâtiment, ou carrément, si ce n'est pas possible, de quitter Maurice avec autant de coûts. Du moment où aussi j'aurais appris qu'il y a quelques soubresauts d'inquiétude du gouvernement mauricien du fait qu'il y a trop d'étrangers qui travaillent à Maurice. C'est un peu inquiétant ça. Parce que c'est comme ça que ça commence doucement, doucement, et ça devient beaucoup plus grave par la suite. Et j'espère qu'on n'arrivera pas là. Alors, moi, mon autre préoccupation...
Can we make our interventions very clear and brief? I see one intervention you have made, which I consider very important. It's not directed at the board, it's directed at the community. In the sense that the board, when I took over as chair of this board, we made a commitment to build a reserve from a loss position to have at least 4 years of operational expenses in reserve. Sorry, 2 years of operational expenses in reserve. Now that should be liquid that we can use. If we now build beyond that, the community can decide that we want to put that into property by owning a building for Afrinic. We are not in the business of property management, so we shouldn't go into that right away, because converting property to liquid assets is not something you do overnight. Okay? You can have a building to sell and nobody to buy. So that will be a decision for Afrinic members to take, not a decision for the board to take. But right now, from managing an organization, paying rent is much more reasonable than buying a property considering the depth of our finance. That is noted. You also talked about problems working on an island. Is this sociological? Is it human resource or what? I think such issues that has to do with managing the organization, you can do in private emails to the CEO and the chair. I don't think there are things we should discuss on the floor of membership. I would think that such issues should be raised outside this forum, but if your concerns are then not properly addressed by the leadership, you are free to then come to the microphone and raise them. So I would plead that if there are genuine concerns that has to do with the future of these organizations, let's raise it first for those who have the means to take action before we then come to raise it on the floor if action is not taken.
Je suis surpris. Bon, c'est pas grave. Nous n'allons pas polémiquer sur cela, mais je voudrais juste donner ma dernière préoccupation qui est relative au projet FAYA. J'ai entendu certaines rumeurs. Je ne sais pas si ces rumeurs sont vraies ou pas. Je ne vais pas sortir quoi que ce soit comme info. Si le tiers se sent libre d'en parler ou de confirmer ou infirmer ces rumeurs, tant mieux. Mais auquel cas, tôt ou tard, ça va sortir. Merci.
Thank you. I think no matter what you do, there will always be rumors. And what people should seek always is to ask for clarifications of the substance, not the rumor. I think what is important at this stage to say, which is what I know, is that the fire project manager resigned and the fire project manager has been replaced. As regards rumor, I don't know what the rumor is that you heard or that others heard, but I'm not in the business of spreading rumor. Mine as chair is to state what I know or what I was told. Thank you. Next person.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel from Traffic Network, Nigeria. I want to commend Afrinic for this meeting. I want to really say that Afrinic is doing a very great work to make sure that the sources in the internet is being accessible for people in Africa. And I also want to commend Afrinic for the workshop they have tried to put up every year. But I have an observation that I want to share. During the course of this meeting, some people raised the issue, presentation that was done, why some people raised issue why we are having problem of penetration in Africa. They say there are some said the issue of power, low infrastructure, then government policies. Then I want to ask if Afrinic is in any way influencing government policies in Africa to ensure that the providers are doing something to make sure that the penetration is going on in the remote areas in Africa. Like in Nigeria, the issue that was raised, the issue that is actually affecting the penetration is the same issue that was raised here. Then, in addition, the cost of the internet. How is Afrinic trying to make sure that this is being taken care of? Is there any policy where Afrinic is making sure that government is doing what they could do to help the penetration of internet in Africa? Like we have been advertising the use of IPv6 and
sorry, can you make your intervention point and sharp? We have a long queue, we have a short time, please. Just go straight to the point, leave the preambles, we'll deal with it.
Okay, I'm recommending that Afrinic should be able to make a policy to ensure that government will help. Like in Nigeria, we have high cost of bandwidth in Nigeria. We have, and it's affecting the penetration of internet. People are not even aware of IPv6. We are talking about IPv4. People are not even using them because they don't have the means to use them.
Please, can you go to the point, please? What do you want us to do?
What I'm saying
do you know advocacy, or are you asking what have we done?
I'm saying that I'm recommending that Afrinic should affect government policies to ensure that they take part of government policies in the Africa to ensure that the use of the penetration of internet it will go around.
Okay, that's well noted. Please Google the Afrinic Government Working Group and see what Afrinic has done so far. And if you have areas you think we should do more, please email the CEO and you could copy the chair just for emphasis. Thank you. Next.
Thank you very much. My name is Douglas Onyango from Uganda. My first intervention, Chair of this session, unfortunately, is a bad one. I feel that we've handled this session very poorly in terms of managing the traffic and time. My feet hurt. I almost want to go back to my seat and not say anything. Anything we can say in 10 minutes, we can say in 2 minutes. That's both our questions and your responses. Let's do that so that we can have as many responses from.
Thank you, Douglas. Now you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Number 2, visas on arrival. I have a little bit of a problem with this. There was a decision that was made some time back to reverse this and let most of the members fend for themselves. I think that one of the reasons I've had a nice time coming to the Afrinic meetings is because I've gotten travel support in the way of visa processing. This has changed somewhat. I managed to get a visa on arrival, but after a very convoluted process, which I believe some people do not have access to. I would like to see in the future visa on arrival being something that comes out of the box firsthand so that we can encourage many people to come to the meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Douglas. Well noted. Next.
Bonjour. I'm Balbin Manga from Cameroon. I'm a lawyer. I will speak in French. Sorry. Ma première question, c'est surtout une remarque. Je ne sais pas, ça fait plusieurs années que je ne suis pas revenue à Afrinic et là, j'observe un comité, je ne sais pas, le bureau exécutif qui est essentiellement masculin. Je ne sais pas si c'est parce que les femmes ne s'intéressent pas ou alors c'est parce qu'il n'y a pas de femmes techniciennes. Mon autre préoccupation rejoint celle de Maïmouna par rapport à la diversité. Je proposerais que si le CEO, dont le directeur est anglophone, que peut-être le chair soit francophone. Comme ça, on pourra vraiment respecter cette diversité. C'est une proposition que je fais. Par rapport à la diversité toujours, il y a beaucoup de gens qui viennent aux réunions, particulièrement moi, qui se sentent un peu marginalisés parce que le domaine dans lequel nous évoluons est un peu laissé en compte. Parce que lorsqu'on parle de stratégie de cybersécurité, dans tous les pays africains, pratiquement, chacun a adopté cette stratégie-là. Si vous laissez de côté les juristes, c'est un problème. Je pense qu'il y a un maillon qui reste. Parce que lorsque vous aurez fait toutes ces sécurités-là, comme le voleur a toujours un moyen pour trouver les failles, on va se retrouver avec quelqu'un qui a donc trouvé la faille et qui doit être conduit en justice. Donc, il faut vraiment regarder ce volet juridique pour essayer d'intégrer les juristes africains qui s'intéressent, par exemple, aux réunions. Merci pour toutes les formations faites aux techniciens. Est-ce que c'est possible que lorsque vous faites une formation IPv6 dans un État, dans un pays, que vous y intégrez, même si elle est sommaire, une formation pour les juristes, c'est-à-dire qu'une session pour les juristes où on peut peut-être regarder les lois et cela permettrait aussi que pour ceux des juristes qui s'intéressent aux activités d'Afrinic, qu'on puisse donner notre avis par exemple sur les statuts, la constitution et le reste. Donc, je ne vais pas garder longtemps le micro. Ce que je voudrais, c'est une plaidoirie pour les juristes. Et je le dis parce que j'en ai vu dans la salle qui étaient aussi perdus et qui pensaient que moi, je pouvais les aider. Si vous pouvez nous intégrer vraiment dans les formations, même pendant les sessions d'Afrinic ou alors des sessions de IPv6, ce ne serait pas mauvais. Merci.
Thank you very much for those comments. They are noted. They will be worked upon. May I appeal to the remaining people on the queue? Let's try to put our comments in 1 minute so that I won't have to stop us. By appeal, please, there's a long queue and we have a very short time. So, next.
This is from Mark Elkins. So, For Sunday, many thanks to the board for the positive financial position. Then I have been using the reward system from Tuesday onwards and found it has worked very well. Many thanks to the meeting team. Thinking of above, what about the IPv6 days, even half days, as done a few years ago in Sudan? I like the idea of us eating our own dog food. This may help attendees better trust and then deploy IPv6 themselves. Then I have another question from Chris Seaborn. Can we make the website less complicated and more friendly than what it is today? As Manuna said, it is the first access to Afrinic. Then Mark Elking adds English versus French. You can add other languages. It is a document. A document in an electric form is easily translated. I use this personally, and I found it has been extremely. It has not let me down, except for spelling or local colloquialism. Thanks.
Thank you. Next comment.
My comment is also on the language issue. It's a misfortune for Africa, of course, that we have several colonialists. To add to French, I will also want to advocate for the Portuguese. I'm not a Portuguese speaker. But that is the situation of Africa, so let's be careful. I'm just raising that so that we know where we are going to run into. Unfortunately, I hope one day we will not ask for the meetings to split into 2 or 3. So let's watch out that. But what I would want to suggest is a community. And if you want your language, in quotes, to be available, I think that aspect of the language, the members of that should contribute to fast track the development of the language. So I'm saying that Afrinic can sponsor the translations of all their documents, their website, and so on and so forth. I think if I want to take a cue from Memuna's comment is that you can drop some seed money to motivate those translators so that we can have English, French, Portuguese, and Arabic. Because I think majorly those are the languages for now, but later I will also ask for my language. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Just for the records, I think somebody made the comment earlier on, but I just felt it should pass. The chair is English speaking. The vice chair of Afrinic is Arabic speaking. Itham from Egypt, first language is Arabic. He struggles to speak English. Thank you. Next comment.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Ibrahim Sini, for the record, from the Nigerian Police Force. I just have one concern and few observations.
Please, can you give one concern and just one observation, not few? Thank you.
Okay. We know NOAA assists the law enforcement agency in Nigeria when we have matters that has to do with .ng. And actually there are other cases that we treat that has to do with other domains. I know there is Whois is there, Virus Total, and some other open source applications that could give us information about domain. But is that enough? I don't think, based on my experience, they are not enough, because it's not only that information that we need, we have to go beyond making arrests and so on and so forth. If we have some in-depth questions that we need to ask from other domains that are from top-level countries, how can we go about it? That's one. Then secondly, I want to ask if Afrinic has law enforcement agency decks that we could use to send our requests, maybe physically or remotely, that they will also assist in the course of our investigation. Then to add that maybe there will be need for law enforcement agency to be trained not basically on the usage of
I
IP.
think you've given us enough to answer, considering the queue. Let's deal with those. We can take the others offline, sir, so that other people too will have, or you can join the queue again. But at least it's only fair, ladies and gentlemen.
Just one sentence.
We have just 10 more minutes.
Just one sentence. A training on IPv6. And also maybe during our next presentation, we should have a law enforcement agency presentation that will assist. Thank you.
Thank you, noted. I'd like to close the queue at this point, so no more additions to the queue. I'll ask Mr. Sheung Ojedeji, who is a member of the ICANN at Large group, to address the aspect that has to do with UIs and access for law enforcement agents. And then the CEO will address the other comment about training and participation of law enforcement agencies in Afrinic. Quickly.
Okay, thank you. The question about the names related part of the technical identifiers, that is not entirely an Afrinic thing. We just have to be privileged that we have people on the Afrinic board wearing more than one hat. So to the question, there is within ICANN there is a group of community called the Government Advisory Committee. That group are actually the place to go to where you should participate in, and I'm sure there is a GAC representative from Nigeria, Mr. Tokbe. I don't know whether he's around in the room. I would suggest that you actually meet with him. If I recall correctly, in Nairobi early this year, there was actually capacity building for law enforcement agencies, and I think more of such things will happen in Africa as time goes on. So what I would suggest to the person that asked the question is, please get in touch with the GAC representative for Nigeria, and he will be able to brief you more on how you can get updated and how to get more capacity building in that area of how to better utilize WUIs for your work. Thank you.
Okay, about law enforcement. Does Afrinic have a law enforcement desk where law enforcement can ask for help? Not exactly, but you're welcome to contact us through any of our other channels. Contact at Afrinic is probably the best first contact point, and somebody will reply to you and pass your question on. What we can do for law enforcement is basically help you figure out which ISP is associated with an IP address. And there was also a question about training for law enforcement. So far this year, we've already done 3 training events in Africa for law enforcement. There was one in Nairobi towards the beginning of the year. There was one in Johannesburg around the middle of the year, and there was one in Mauritius about a month ago. And essentially, we attend meetings organized by other organizations. So sometimes ICANN or Interpol will organize a meeting, and Afrinic will attend and tell law enforcement what it is exactly that they can get for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Goba Anderson, and I'm an Afrinic 27 fellow. I've got several questions, very few of them. My first concern is I would like to see the prospect of Afrinic service across the continent. And by that I mean at these forums, we would like to see where Afrinic is, and then compared to other areas, where they are at, where we need to be, challenges and the way ahead. My second concern is I would like to see more financial resources go into Afrinic Fire Africa project. In my opinion, this will put a human face to Afrinic services across the continent, and will further be a more inclusive process for Afrinic. $4.8 million, in my opinion, is a small amount for the operation of Afrinic, and I believe if Afrinic could also put out to the communities where we can make recommendations and suggestions as to how we can probably find ways to increase the budget. That could probably help. And during this Afrinic forum, if you could tell us the difficult or how to reach regions or country in Africa, you know, I think that will also help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the issues you raise are usually addressed at the May meetings, the main AIS meeting. So I recognize the fact that this is your first meeting. By May next year, you'll see a more full report. We give the board activity update. We give all the updates of the various departments of Afrinic at the meetings. There's no time in this November meeting to do that. But at the May meeting next year, you sure will have all those details you're asking for. You can also check on the website for the past reports. You'll see them there. Next.
Merci bien, je suis Monsieur Ousmane Ly du Mali. Monsieur le chairman, vous avez eu des discussions avec Monsieur Arnaud tout de suite là et vous avez vécu l'expérience que nous vivons tous les jours quand la traduction n'est pas souvent très correcte et n'est pas fidèle. Donc ce qui a amené à ce que vous ayez une petite discussion tout de suite là. Donc c'est ce que nous vivons très souvent nous autres quand nous parlons d'autres langues pendant ces réunions. Alors, je viens à la réponse que le CEO a fait à Maïmouna pour dire que je ne suis pas d'accord avec cette réponse. Parce que ma dernière présence à Afrinic, c'était en 2011 en Tanzanie. Et là-bas, on nous disait que Afrinic a une petite équipe et que ne pouvait pas traduire tous les documents dans d'autres langues. De 2011 à maintenant, beaucoup d'années a passé. Et Maïmouna a été claire. Elle a dit que nous sommes liquides maintenant, on a de l'argent. Alors, je voulais que vous vous engagez à prendre les ressources nécessaires pour traduire tous les documents de Afrinic dans les 4 langues majeures de l'Afrique. Pour que, à Dakar, où nous allons parler français, et nous allons venir massivement là-bas en tant que francophones, et vérifier si ça a été fait. Vraiment, ce n'est plus une petite équipe qui est le problème. Aujourd'hui, nous avons les moyens, mettez les moyens dedans pour que nous puissions vraiment interagir en tant que communauté de Afrinic dans nos langues. Je vous remercie. J'invite les francophones à le mettre sur le mailing list de Afrinic pour que nous puissions vraiment vérifier à Dakar si les traductions ont été faites dans toutes les langues que nous voulons. Merci.
Je veux bien, merci, monsieur. Next person.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to make 1 or 2 observations. My first observation is on the trainings of IPVCs. Over time, we see on the mailing list successfully completion of this training, this and that. I would like to ask, with all these trainings that we've been having, is there a way we have been measuring the impact on the deployment of IPv6 in Africa in the last few years? Is there a metric? Because oftentimes I don't see any report. Fine, we have been doing trainings. In Nigeria alone last year, I think we were about 2. This year we've had 1. And I just want to know, is it that people just come for the training? Is there a means? Has it been a follow-up to make sure that I saw a survey on the challenges people are facing to deployment of IVCC. But if you are doing all this training, Afrinic is spending money at least to bring the instructors down here. What has been the outcome of some of this? We need to just oppose. So if there's something that is not right, then maybe we just look in another direction. Secondly,
can you limit it to that one?
Just one, and I'll go. I just want to appreciate the everyone and the local sponsor. And for the first time, I got a link to the mobile app of the Afrinic meeting, and it was fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, before you go, have you ever sat in any meeting where Mukom Tamon made a presentation?
Yes.
I think he always starts with the impact and the challenges of Afrinic trainings. Just go to Google any presentation by Mukom. Your question is answered. First 2 slides.
All right.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, sir. My name is Somoni Ibieton. I am the head of online media at the Nigerian Communications Commission. I want to start by quickly appreciating the leadership for this particular session, which is introduced for the first time. And I'll move quickly to also say that I heard one of the delegates talked about the challenge in procuring visa. I think the lesson here is to see how we can expand the nature of stakeholding at our meetings. Is important. I say this because in April, the government of Nigeria signed an executive order, one, and one of the thematic focuses of that particular order is to ensure that people get visa speedily when they are coming into the country. Now, if there is a challenge, we might just look at future programs that we want to do and see how we can expand the nature of our stakeholder here to include the Ministry of Interior, to include also appropriate stakeholders in Lagos State, for instance, if that is where the next will happen in Nigeria. Having said that, sir, let me just draw our attention to the issue of language. The beauty of our continent is our diversity in language and in other cultural aspects. I'm a member of African Public Relations Association, and the way we dealt with this is to look at the key languages that we use and have our website to reflect those. If we want to reflect all the languages, we are going to have a very messy situation. Afrinic is supposed to be an umbrella organization, and so the local partners also have website. They may need to democratize this further. So if we look at English and you look at French, if you look at Arabic, yes, appropriately, that's legitimate. But if you want to take Swahili, for instance, all the countries where Swahili is spoken, English is also spoken, or one of all these major languages that we have mentioned. So let's do our studies well and see that we don't have a very complicated website. The local partners have a duty to ensure that everybody have access to what is being discussed. And I think the essence of Afrinic has to do with democratization, and language is at the heart of it. So please, let's reflect on this and see how we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ni, for those comments. They are well noted. Next.
Santigi Bayodumia, a new fellow from Sierra Leone. I have a concern about when you talk about the government working group. I want to know if Sierra Leone is among of that government working group. And also, among the engineers you have already trained so far, I want to know if there is any Sierra Leone engineer among, and I want to know that person so that we can collaborate to see how we can promote the work of Afrinic in Sierra Leone. As a new fellow, I've seen that, in Sierra Leone, in my country, we have a very low number of people or young people also in the internet connectivity thing, with the understanding of the difference between IPv4 or IPv6. So I want to recommend that the Afrinic look into adding more resources for the fellowship program in order for them to help spread the message or also what we have learned into our country. Thank you.
Before you sit, sir, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How did you get to know about Afrinic?
It's through my network, which is NAYD, Network of African Youth for Development Online.
Did you inform your government that you are coming?
No, because,
okay.
No.
Okay. Your government is more than welcome to join and participate in Afrinic, but I try not to embarrass people. I am aware that I, in person, carried 5 letters to offices of government officials in Nigeria, and only 1 out of those 5 made it to this meeting. So I believe other African countries are not different. Indeed, one particular government office told me, Afrinic is too small for us to come to your meeting. That's how African governments behave. I am not thinking. I am saying what I heard as chair of Afrinic and president of NERA that hosted this meeting. We do have a challenge in Africa, and this is an example of it. But records show that there are 39 Afrinic members in Sierra Leone and there has been one training in Sierra Leone this year.
In 2010.
Sorry, the last training was in 2010 in Sierra Leone. So you are welcome as a fellow to go start the fire back in your country. I have been lighting matches in Nigeria since 2000. That's when I started trying to light fires in Nigeria, and it's good that it has started burning now. Good luck in Sierra Leone.
Thank you.
Next, please.
I'm Daniel Nangaka. I'm an internet user from Uganda. From the time when I first attended Afrinic, way back in 2017, that brought me to understand the PDP processes, I also tend to realize that it seems Afrinic does not like East Africa. Yes, because if we look at from the way back operations, even on the website, we know that the technical operations are taking place in South Africa, Egypt for backup and disaster recovery, trainings in Ghana and Mauritius for the other administrative thing. East Africa does not come into play. When it comes to discussing languages, in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, just to mention a few, we speak Swahili. Nothing is being brought about Swahili. And when it comes to trainings, the IPv6 trainings, we discover that the East Africa region receives less of the trainings. Most of the trainings go to West Africa, and then North Africa, a few. Southern Africans are able to benefit so much. So I think we also need to review that. And the costs of operation that go towards training and capacity building, especially in IPv6, are tremendously too high. Could probably the board or the community probably think about creating IPv6 training centers in these different regions, such that we reduce on the costs, of travel to these trainings, such that the travel can be localized from the respective regions. And me being a beneficiary of the Afrinic Fellowship, introducing me to the whole internet governance space, I haven't seen a very clear track of the previous fellows and how the successful fellows have been able to mentor the ones that have been there. I know some of us have been fellows like Douglas and have done tremendous work. But then, is there any way that we can be able to continue the mentorship program? Because with the fellows who are already engaged here, we can contribute to grooming more and more, as is happening. So I think that should be able to be highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you raise very pertinent issues. But before you go, let me just say that some things are historical. At the foundation of Afrinic, you should know that there was not a single cable in Nairobi, not one. It was such a bad situation that people from East Africa were usually very shy to speak in meetings. But within the space of 5 years, the things changed in East Africa. There were so many cables that landed suddenly, and it's not an accident that East Africa, Nairobi is the center of excellence for this type of things in Africa today. The first ICANN office in sub-Saharan Africa was opened in Nairobi. We are still very, very jealous in Lagos. They are still very, very jealous in Accra. So you perhaps may not know that your area of Africa has made tremendous progress. The Charles Musisis, the Douglas Oyangos, the Patrick Okwis, Badru Ntege, Evelyn Amara. I could go on mentioning names of superstars out of Africa within this community. I'm sure you don't know all those names I mentioned, but they are pioneers who's making East Africa very, very proud in this community. Need I mention Fiona Asonga? A round of applause for all of them.
Can I just say something? All the names that you have mentioned, I strongly agree that I know them and have interacted with them. And Badru, for instance, has been very pertinent in grooming me in this whole kind of process. My issue is the fact that we have had presentation from this Africa region, but why is it that Afrinic does not have a direct presence? At ICANN level, it was a very strong debate to have ICANN have an office in Africa, and it was selected to be Nairobi. But the fact that Afrinic is African-wide, let's not forget to have at least a physical presence for collaboration within the Africa region. All these big names that you have mentioned, they can contribute to this and make Afrinic in East Africa have at least substantial impact and input. Still, when it comes to IPv6 adoption in East Africa, it's not coming out so fast, despite the fact that there's tremendous campaign and these big shots are there. So, why? The network engineers are being trained, but then how are they be able to feed back into their respective organizations and companies that are implementing all this? And all this, it comes to lack of physical collaboration, if you look at the IPv6 deployments within the region. Thank you.
Thank you. It's noted. I was just reviewing the trainings with CEO. The only country that Afrinic has not been to in East Africa is Somalia. All the other countries, the minimum is 2 trainings, some 6 trainings in the last 5 years. So yes, it's been done, and I hope, CEO, that more will be done. Thank you. I forgot that East Africa is even represented on the board. Abibu.
Yeah, let me comment on the training. Normally, Afrinic announces for application from countries around the continent so that they can get a local support. So it depends also on the local support. If you apply, you can get the chance to host a training. So it depends on the activeness of the internet community in the particular country. Now, to add to that, it's not necessarily that Afrinic requests for application. There are some incidences where Afrinic can also provide support in terms of financial support and even human resource, especially in countries where we have these network operators group trainings. So it's not only Afrinic that provides IPv6 training, for instance, but if you have a NOC and you request for support, Afrinic is ready to support. So it depends on how active in your particular country you are to request for the assistance. Thank you.
So before we leave this subject, I know that the Nigerian Network Operators Group is strongly represented at this meeting. Can members of the Nigerian Network Operators Group present please stand to be recognized? I note the event coordinator, Dr. Wale Adedokun, and the other members of the Nigerian Network Operators Group. A round of applause for them. So I am being asked, and I will give Wale the opportunity to go to the back of the queue. I'm being asked by a board member that, do you get support from Afrinic? Please get on the back of the queue. And next.
Next. Oh, ok. Bonjour à tous. Je suis Landry Quadio de la Côte d'Ivoire et je bénéficie du programme Fellowship d'Afrinic. Ok. J'ai une question d'abord sur l'IPv6. Pour rester toujours dans ce domaine, j'ai vu que Afrinic met l'accent sur les formations et sur le nombre d'ingénieurs formés et tout ça. Et ma question serait de savoir quel est le retour d'investissement sur les 8 ans de formation en ce qui concerne IPv6 et l'impact qu'ont eu les différentes adoptions de l'IPv6. Ma seconde question, bon, ça concerne les comptes présentés par Afrinic. J'aimerais savoir si ces comptes ont été certifiés par une organisation externe à Afrinic. Si ce n'est pas le cas, il serait intéressant pour Afrinic de faire certifier les différents mouvements financiers par une structure externe. Et ma dernière question, c'est pour vous féliciter pour le transcript en anglais. Vraiment, ça nous a beaucoup aidé, nous qui sommes francophones et qui ne pouvons pas bien faire la traduction. Et vraiment, le transcrit est très pratique. Il serait intéressant d'avoir aussi des transcrits en français, c'est-à-dire une traduction de ce qui est écrit là, juste en dessous en français. Ça serait magnifique en tout cas. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. You ask 2 questions. I'll ask the CEO to quickly respond to the 2 questions. The training and adoption impact across Africa, and whether Afrinic is certified by external organizations. Those are the two questions, Alan.
Thank you. On the impact of IPv6 training, if you go to our training website, which is learn.afrinic.net, you will find many statistics of the countries where we've held training, the number of workshops, the number of people trained in every country, the dates. You will probably also find survey results which address the question of impact. And very recently, earlier this year, there was a survey about what do people think is holding them back, preventing them from deploying IPv6. And we got some interesting results to that, which we are using in our planning for how we can improve our training in the future. Then on certification, our financial results are audited every year by one of the big four auditors. And for the past, I think this is now the third year that we're using PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Before that, I think we've used KPMG, and I think we used Ernst & Young as our auditors. So every year the financial statements are audited. The audited financials are published. You can find them on our website under corporate documents, audited statements for every year since Afrinic was started. We also have ISO 9001 certification. We're just in the process of renewing that this year in December. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, everybody. As a person, I really appreciate what Afrinic has been doing to make sure that Africa as a continent is in the same page with other continents in the world. What I want to say now goes to the IPv6 training. Afrinic has been trying, when we are talking about IPv6 training, especially in Nigeria. Like the chairman just said that this training has been taken to many countries in Africa. It's only Somalia. This training was brought to Nigeria this year also, around July. Well, I was in the training. Some people were there, but the second day of the training, I saw people walking out. It's like they were not interested. So what I want to say is that I think at this junction, I want Afrinic to compel all the ISPs in Nigeria to make sure that your engineers, your IP engineers, or people or stakeholders concerning your IPs are well grounded in IPv6. Because for how long are we going to be spoon-fed concerning IPv6 training? It's like people don't want to learn new things. You don't want to learn new things, and I think at this junction we need to compel all ISPs and other network companies to make sure that their IP engineers are well grounded in IPv6. They should go and develop themselves more. You cannot continue to be a baby. That's my submit. Thank you.
Okay, you've raised a very interesting point, and I'll just beg you, when you go back home, go and put together a policy that says that when Afrinic members come back for more resources, they must pass at least 50% in an IPv6 test to be administered by Afrinic before they are issued additional resources. So go put the policy together and bring it for members' consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, next.
Wale Adilokun, Nigerian Network Operators Group. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for forcing me to come and join the queue. And yes, Afrinic provides support to Nigerian Network Operators Group, financial support and technical support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see the legal counsel of Afrinic raising his hand, and I must give the floor to the legal counsel, though the queue is closed. So the legal counsel has the floor, but not the queue.
Thank you, Chairman. For me, it cannot be closed. Pour respecter la diversité linguistique, Monsieur le Président, je voudrais parler en français pour répondre à mon ami Arnaud, qui évoquait tout à l'heure le fait que le gouvernement mauricien a mis en place ou souhaite mettre en place une politique anti-travailleurs étrangers à Je voudrais dire ici, en tant que citoyen mauricien, haut et fort, qu'une telle politique n'a jamais existé, n'existe pas, et j'ai jamais entendu qu'il y ait un projet quelconque pour amener une politique pareille. Je voudrais dire qu'à l'île Maurice, tout notre secteur de TIC repose sur l'apport des travailleurs expatriés étrangers. Donc nous sommes très très reconnaissants pour cet apport et nous souhaitons ici dire à tout le monde, donner cette garantie que à l'île Maurice ça ne se fait pas, ça ne se pratique pas et que là où nous avons Afrinic, on ne peut pas pratiquer de telles politiques. Merci.
I confirm that it is visa on arrival if you go to Mauritius. And for all the time I have gone, I have received my visa within 5 minutes of arrival. So I quite agree with Ashok. If there are specific challenges that people have, I think such should be raised with the CEO and it will be addressed by management. Thank you all very much. I'd like to, on behalf of the board, thank all of you for the participation in this open microphone session. All the issues you have raised are noted very strongly. Is that Afrinic should get its working documents and legal documents translated into the languages that would facilitate more participation by members. On this note, I want to thank members of the board here present and every other people, especially the remote participants in this session, and would invite Felix and the CEO for the closing ceremony. A round of applause for the open mic session. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's applaud the board again. Thank you very much. My work is going to be very simple. Just wrap things up. And before we do wrap things up, as promised, we open the survey to know to get to know your feelings about the organization and the structure of the meeting. And indeed, we have results, and I would like to say that we have 58 delegates who filled the survey, and the responses are really, really encouraging and well noted. So we want to pick one randomly in a word, so that you see. Where's the iPad? Ah, good. So that you see what we're giving to one lucky delegate, this iPad, which will be here. And I think, Alan, you close your eyes so that. Yeah.
So I need to know, how random is random? Okay. Okay. So I must close my eyes. Maybe I reach behind my back. Will that be enough? Okay, fine. Microphone back to you.
All right.
The result of the random draw is that the winner, only if they're here. If they're not in the room, it's tough luck, we draw another one. But if they're here, Idau Adeni Ifaturoti.
Idau Adeni Ifaturoti.
Okay. So, congratulations at all. Thank you for filling in the survey, and let this serve as an incentive for the rest of you. Next time, you can fill in the survey and you might win.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, this brings us to the end of our meeting. With just two little things to do. I invite you all to our next meeting, which will be in Dakar, Senegal, in May 2018. You can get all the information on our meeting.afrinic.net website. Right now it only tells you the date, but as we get closer you will see the agenda and the hotels and all the other stuff. Meeting.afrinic.net. Come to Senegal in May. Right, now let me thank everybody who has helped make this meeting a success. To our translators sitting in the back there, and their voices coming to our ears. Zekamayo is our translation company. It's very important for us to be able to participate in English and French. I know we could do better. I've heard all the comments about translating the website, translating the legal documents. I agree with you all. And I'm sorry that it's taking so long. It's been a priority for me for at least 2 years, and it's frustrating to me that it's not done yet. For our live captions, the words appearing on the screen there, it's the first time Afrinic's done this. I find it very helpful. The company that's doing that is called 121 Captions. Thank you. To the hotel. We need space, we need to eat, we need to sleep. Thank you to the Renaissance Lagos Ikeja Hotel for being able to host us. We always like to work with a local organization in the country who can be our local host. NIRA, the Nigeria Internet Regulatory Authority, thank you. You've been fantastic. Not only did you help us find the right hotel, help us with buses and visa on arrival, which apparently didn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. You've helped us find sponsors. You sponsored a fantastic gala dinner last night. Thank you to NIRA. Our connectivity sponsors, Main One and eStream. Thank you. We all like to be able to get internet access in these meetings, on our phone or our laptop. We like to have 2 upstream providers, and we got that. Then, all the sponsors who gave us money, Google, ICANN, the Internet Society, .Africa. They didn't just give us money, they gave me a little lanyard to wear around my neck. NITDA, Galaxy Backbone, VDT Communications, Guarantor Hosting, NCC, the Nigeria Communications Commission, and the Internet Exchange Point in Nigeria. Thank you all. To the Afrinic staff who helped make this a success, thank you. We have several staff members, a few of them sitting in the front here, some of them working behind the scenes. They all worked very hard to make this meeting work. Thank you all. And finally, all of you, the delegates. We cannot have meetings if nobody attends. It would be pointless. So, this has been a good one. We had some very lively policy discussions, but not so lively that we wanted to kill each other, which sometimes happens. So this was good. Thanks very much, and I do hope to see many of you again in 6 months in Dakar. Thanks.
All right, let's thank Alan as well for closing the meeting. I think now we can go and rest. Just 2 announcements. Again, lunch, you're invited to lunch. It will be at first floor and ground floor as directed by the hotel. They keep changing depending on traffic, but it's not so fast, so you can just consult them. But the vouchers will be out with members of the team. The second announcement is that we have made provisions for airport transfers for those going back today. We'll have 2 shifts, one at 3 o'clock today and the second one at 5 o'clock. Since we don't know exactly the timings, we encourage as many people to use these timings so that the bus can be able to drop you. And this will only apply for those at Renaissance and at Savoy Suite. The other people, maybe you can consult us offline and see how we can ensure that you get to the bus. Thank you very much.